Okay, so welcome this morning. If you're watching this YouTube video, the title of it, as you saw, is Taprooting Your Way to Wealth in Your Home-Based Business. And I'm going to begin by just number one, the ones that are invited to this call live, they're all making really good money. They're all leaders. And what I'm about to go through, if you're brand new and somebody sent you this, don't think you have to do this the way I'm about to share with you. This is for anyone at any stage of their business that wakes up one day and says, hey, I believe in this company. I believe in this industry. I want a better future than I currently have. I want to get out of debt. I want to create financial independence for my family, and I want to have time freedom. And time freedom is the number one overlooked thing that we don't talk about enough. There's no definition of wealth because there's actually people that make millions of dollars a year that are broke because they're leveraged out into big boats or airplanes. So what I've always said is wealth is not defined as a number. It's defined as the ability for you to wake up every day the rest of your life and do what you want to instead of what you have to. And anybody that says money's not important has never ran out of it before, because I promise you, what I just told you is not going to happen without income. If you're going to wake up tomorrow and do what you want to, not what you have to, you better have the financial, or you're going to have to go do some things tomorrow you don't want to get your bills paid. And there's going to be a period of time in this business you'll have to do the same thing. I absolutely love this industry, love this business, love seeing lives change. It's my passion. I could never retire. If a company's run good, this is what I want to do till I'm 110 years old. However, there are always going to be days early on in a business, or if you're trying to build a new pay line, there's always periods of sacrifice, but you're building a residual income. And when you're tired of sacrificing at some point, then you get to wake up and do what you want to every day. So that being said, let's go ahead and get this morning started. And anybody that wants to ask a question, or if let's just throw a random number out there. If you're making $20,000 a month or more, you're welcome to chime in, but let's don't chime in if you're not. And in that range, and I know who all of you are, so please chime in, anything you want to add. But so we all know that we have to recruit, and we have two mechanisms of doing that. One, I call it a direct approach. And most of you on this call live are really good at that. A direct approach is we're picking up the phone, we're calling people and asking them to look at our business opportunity, hear about our product, come to a party, come to a Zoom, meet us at a coffee shop. And that's if you're going to get to the big money, you got to have that direct approach. The second way is the passive approach. The passive approach, for example, is our skinny drop system. Lives, we're posting lifestyle, we're putting that into boosting groups, and we're bringing people to us. So those that are moving really fast, you're doing both all the time. You're passively recruiting and you're direct approach recruiting. But I will tell you that that is a necessary piece of what we do. So, but it is not your ticket to financial independence. That's not how you get there. You have to get people in that mechanism. Matter of fact, I'm getting one today from a passive approach on social media. I had a guy shoot me a message yesterday on an airplane that I haven't seen in 15 years. And he didn't even ask me about anything. He just said, Todd, I'm ready to go. I'm coming to Destin in 3 days and I want to meet up with you. And he said, my wife and I we've been studying it and we've been watching you and we know you and we're ready. So like that passive out there, that's not the secret. I'm now going to tell you, this is the secret to the millions. It's called building relationships. But here is the problem with that issue, is that relationships are hard to build. And once you get through the hard, meaning you get to know them, you feel comfortable on the phone with them, you're relaxed, well, that becomes someone that's very easy to talk to. But in this business, if you want to get to the millions, you got to be building new relationships consistently. So the first thing that some people don't do is they don't ever start building the initial relationships. They're just thinking that we're in some type of sales business. They're constantly recruiting, but they're never getting in there and getting to know them and helping them build. And then the next roadblock that keeps people away from the big money is they get 2, 3, 4, 5 people in their life by building these relationships, and they get comfortable right there and they don't keep building. If you are going to create wealth here, you're going to have to build over 1,000 solid relationships into time. And anything I say here, I don't want anybody to ever take out of context because God made men and women the way we are. I would hate, listen, I'm glad there's women on earth. I would not want to be hanging out in my house with a man. So, so like y'all are the sweetest, best thing on planet earth. However, you're very emotional. You feel more, you see more, you hear more than men do. We naturally have an advantage in what I'm about to tell you. But a lot of times women will get stuck with two or three or four people and they can't keep going. And then the other issue is the two or three, four people they have a relationship with, they start getting jealous or mad when you're building new relationships. That can happen even with men too. So just understand that nobody ever gets left behind here. A leader just knows building relationships in depth, or somewhere down that line, the help will stop. Like the ball's always dropped somewhere if the leadership isn't going down. So I'm not going to show you how to do that. All right. So I'm going to give you like 5 different examples today. And then I want you to be asking yourself, can you go do what I'm about to do with you in this business? So Gracie Turner, say hello, Gracie, so everybody can see your face.
Hello.
So Gracie Turner, her husband is 80. Gracie, you're 78.
77 going on 78.
77 going on 78. So Gracie is what I call a consistent plotter over time. She's not traveling the country. She's not doing 10 Zooms a day. She's just consistent. She's consistently recruiting, and she's really good at getting her upline connected with people she signs up and getting help. So Gracie started a number of years ago, and she signed up a guy that was a contractor in Brewton, Alabama. And this guy and I worked together for a long time. Like he would put me in front of a lot of people, and we weren't getting a lot of traction of people that really wanted to do it. But finally one day he put me in front of Kim Gray. And I met Kim Gray and realized that she had strong desire initially to change her physical situation, but in a couple of months I realized she also wanted to change her financial situation. So Kim and I began to work together. The guy that ran the construction company wasn't working with Kim. He signed her up, but he wasn't working with her. So if I had not went through Gracie and met Jerry, and then started working with Jerry and met Kim, and then began to work with Kim, nobody would know Kim's great name because Kim would have never activated because she didn't enter this company with a skill set and a Rolodex. Like she'd never been in the industry before. So Kim and I start doing things together on Zoom. She lived in my proximity. We would do stuff together live. Nothing ever big. She can't recruit other leaders in that industry. This is just random. One person here, social media. Well, Kim Gray and I are working together. And then one day, this guy right here with the beard is bulldozing my land. And Kim's in a pay leg for me at the time. So we all know we're placing down in depth on our pay leg. So I call Kim up and I say, Kim, I need your help. I've got a guy bulldozing my land. I'm putting him in the system today. I don't know what he'll do, but I just need some help talking to him every day because I'm not ever going to give someone that's not going to be in the equation with me. Everybody, like you are all leaders, so you guys have this going on in your business all the time. There's always somebody with their hand out saying, give me somebody, make me money. That's not what we do. We're a team. We all help each other build empires. So I didn't give Walt to people that needed Walt. I gave Walt to someone who deserved Walt, which was Kim Gray. She was the one out here daily showing up at the meetings, learning how to present, answering the questions, good skill set. So Walt goes in her business and Kim begins to work with Walt. So Walt then sets up a meeting. It took us, by the way, this is the most important thing to understand if you're a leader. In our industry, no matter what it looks like from the outside on someone else's team that's in momentum, nothing is ever happening by accident. Everything in our industry is by design. So nothing just happens. Like Bob Budd entered our business probably, how long ago, Bob? You've been here 6 months?
Yeah, 6 months.
So I've done with one gentleman, I helped Bob on some 3-way calls and then talked to him individually for him. And then I've done one live meeting for Bob. That's all I've ever done. I have, and Bob's done the rest himself. He's a leader. I haven't had 5 Bob Budds enter my business in 24 years. I take him. Risha Adair's the same way. Risha's made president, and I've only ever done a couple of live meetings and one Zoom with Risha. So to think somebody's going to enter your business and do it without you is just not going to happen. Like, I'm so thankful when I've hit one of those, but I went my first 20 years in the industry and never hit one. It was just all, I developed them. I mean, Ken Bailey, Chris Dole, they all became great, didn't need me anymore. But in the early days, we all worked together for a really long time before that happened. And my upline worked with me for about a year before I was able to do things on my own. So just to think you're going to sign somebody up that goes and does it, don't think that ever. It's not going to happen. If you get one day, it's like winning the lottery, and you'll be really thankful as I am, but don't expect it. Okay, so let's go back to this. The process, when you're looking at it like on an IPA call and you see success, or you're looking through your lenses and you think everybody's lucky. No, like every day is a journey. It's hard. It's follow-up. It's getting people off the fence. It's helping with skepticism. So remember, Walt's in. It took Walt 90 days. Walt, Kim Gray, and Todd. So 2 full-time people and Walt working on this lady, Robin, to ever get the first 10-minute sit down with her. 90 days. Most people would have given up. Kim Gray called me the day that we had Robin ready for the 3-way. And I told Kim, she's better on the phone than I am. I always divert to people who have the best skill sets for the situation. So I said, Kim, do your thing, and then we'll close her in, and then I'll go see her in person. So we did. We got her signed up on the phone that day. And I set the meeting for Sunday at 2:00. And at 1:30, Robin called to cancel on me because she hadn't got home or something. I said, Robin, I'm coming to see you today. Just tell me what time. So she reset it that night for 6:00. And that's when we sat down at her table. And Robin that night at the table said, Todd, I am not going to do this business. However, I'm 52 years old. I'm a bodybuilder. And if I could lose my last 10 pounds, I already eat perfect and work out. If I could lose my last 10 pounds, I could sell these skinny drops. So that was how Robin started. Then Robin started posting. This is pre-skinny drop system. This is the reason you always have to have the ability to adapt, pay attention to your surroundings, what's going on, like you're conscious, like you're engaged, paying attention. So Robin starts selling skinny drops. So I'm not a retail guy. Like you're not going to come to me to learn how to be the best. That's someone else's training. But I am a network marketer, and I knew when Robin started selling all these skinny drops that there was a lot of potential brand partners there. So Kim Gray and I had been working together at this point about 18 months. So Kim is a total clone of the way I think, because she didn't know anything when I met her. So I didn't have to reprogram or anything. She just learned it exactly the way we do it. So Kim was keeping an eye on Robin's business daily. Kim had her back office and ID, and she started seeing that Robin was buying skinny drops, but buying them herself. And so this is a big thing here. If you're not paying attention, you miss all these things. So Kim picks up the phone and calls Robin and says, Robin, you don't need to buy these skinny drops on your own business. You make 30% when you put it on somebody you personally sponsor. And she said, well, I don't know how to sponsor anybody. So that is when we stepped in and taught Robin just to pay somebody's $29.95, and then place, at that time we only had 10 packs, place your 3 10-packs on their business, get your 30% back, or $450. So kind of think that in. Is that what I just told you? Is that trained into your business? Do people really understand in your organization in depth? Because you can't expect somebody else to teach it. It's all, listen, tell the story, send it around a circle, and it'll never get back the same. It's the same in our business. This breaks down at some point if somebody that's not really engaged isn't a piece of it all. So Kim was the engaged one and got her doing that. And then as soon as that happened, Kim and my wife Ashley started reaching out to some of these people that had signed up and setting up times to do what we call skinny drop conversion Zooms. As you guys all know that. This is not a training for that. So at that point, that's when Stephanie Wilson starts. Stephanie sells 500 boxes. She quits her job as a school teacher, and we start working with Stephanie, and that led to Ursula and just a whole team here in the Panhandle of Florida. We signed up Sonia Barber, and then Ashley Antley was one of those drop customers. So all 3 of those ladies there. That's 3 of Robin's 4 legs. There's another lady named Misty I didn't put on the screen. So Ashley's selling drops. Ashley's first person to recruit really in the business was her husband. And that took us about 60 days to ever get him to sit down and eat. So if I'm not engaged with Walt and Kim's not engaged with Walt, we never get to Robin. And then if Kim doesn't catch that Robin's selling drops through our personal business and get her signing up people, none of this, like the skinny drop system as you know it today, doesn't exist without the upline engaged all the way through it. Robin brought the skill set of how to sell, and then we stepped in and merged in our understanding of network marketing to bridge that gap. So now then we've got these plus a few more. So watch how this works now. By the way, we are a part of all of this happening. So I'm meeting everybody in real person. I don't need a striking distance report to know what's going on in my business because I'm engaged with this. If in the areas you're working in, you need the striking distance report when you got leaders separating you. Okay. So then Sonia says, I want to do a home party. So who goes to the home party? Not Robin, not Walt, not Kim. We go to the home party and we do the meeting and we meet Val. And Val is 30-ish years old, 3 kids, and had a strong desire to stay home with her kids. And she gets really serious. So I don't have the ability and time to engage with the bad ones, but the ones that stand out and say, hey, I want to do this. Well, I'm the one with the knowledge. Sonia, who signs up Val, she's brand new. What can Sonia do for Val? Robin has no desire to even work it. Walt's still trying to figure out if he even likes the taste of Moa, and Kim Gray's 3 hours away. So we're building relationships downward. And when I say we, you got to visualize you doing this on your team. Then Val and Sonia sign up Mandy in Dothan, Alabama. And then Mandy, we start building relationship with Mandy. They sign up Shay in Panama City, Florida. And then Val's business begins to take off. But we're meeting them, not Robin, not Walt. Like the leader is mining in depth and building relationships with every one of these people as it goes. Then so that's one leg for Robin. By the way, Robin makes close to $5,000 a week in income now because of this. She doesn't work the business. She's a recruiter and I'm a builder. It's the perfect combination. And that's what you're always looking for in your business until you want to become a builder. And when you become a big builder, you're probably at that time, by the time you get good at it, your Rolodex has shrunk some. Now the passive recruiting is still going on, but you don't have 100 people to call tomorrow because you've used a lot of them already. So you need these great recruiters because we get paid to unlimited depth. So the next leg is Ashley Antley. Remember, the first thing we did is we drive 3 hours to have dinner with Ashley and Reese to get Reese on board with her. Well, then Ashley's posting every day, and that leads to Tammy and Krista. Krista actually had bought a box of drops from Robin and then saw Ashley posting, who she used to be a nurse with, and Krista converts over and becomes a Baron partner. Well, then we start working with Krista and Tammy, and we help Krista get Jody and Jolene and a whole bunch of other people too. Jennifer, I can name them all. And we realized Krista's really good at this. I still think Krista's one of the absolute best presenters in the whole company. She's very magnetic when she does it. And then Tammy is in Atlanta, Georgia. So we're working with Tammy through Ashley and Reese. And Tammy begins to post every day. And guess what that leads to? Chris and Joni. Guess who does the presentation for Chris and Joni? Not Tammy, not Ashley and Reese, not Walt, not Kim. I'm engaged all the time in depth and building the relationship there and ready for the right person to join. And obviously Chris and Joni were the right person. Then Chris and Joni, they lead to Risha and Bob and Carol. And you're going to see a whole lot more too. But I just there's only so much room on the slide. So Risha and I knew who each other were. We don't know each other. Like we'd never spent quality time together. I knew Bob better. But again, just big events, never any personal interaction. And the same with Carol. Carol was kind of like Risha. We knew each other but never a personal relationship. So Chris and Joni, remember, they live in Costa Rica. We're driving this whole baby by Zoom. But I don't care. Like it doesn't matter if you ever do what I do. What I do is how to get to multiple millions per year. So in my mind, I know Chris and Joni are crazy good recruiters. They're great trainers. They've created better boards than anybody in the whole company. Like they have upped our centralized system of growth game to a degree that's not imaginable. So what my brain is doing is scanning, like, where can I add value? Because they're better at everything I just said than I am. I can't add value there. I just stay out of their way and I actually use what they do. I'm masterminding what their strengths are. But their Achilles heel is they have 2 young children living in Costa Rica without the ability to really get to these people in person. So we start building relationships with each one of those. So then that we meet Christy and we start doing Zooms with Christy. And then Christy and Mary signs up Mary. We get to know Mary. And then my wife Ashley hops on a plane and goes and spends the first week in Canada. Remember, Canada, we don't even have a working system. My dad is in the hospital about to pass away, and we're about to lose the whole team because everything there doesn't work. Nothing worked. Everything was broken. And then it got worse. So like if we're not engaged with this all the time, maybe Chris and Joni don't even make it. Like they're the ones that are recruiting and bringing people, but they're not problem solvers yet. They're new to the company. So somebody that's in the know that is not working in depth and fixing things and being knowledgeable. And Reese Antley, by the way, at this point, he's a year and a half in. Reese had shown, this is the other piece of the puzzle. Sherry Key said it this morning, the IPA call for those that were there. And that is, she's going to Canada to be prepared for the day her business gets into Canada, not vice versa. Because once your business starts growing somewhere, if you're not prepared, you may have somebody super and not even know they were ever there. So you gotta be building all the time and in preparation. So Reese Antley was prepared when this all happened. Neither one of us knew, nobody knew Canada. We didn't have anybody at the corporate staff that knew Canada. Everybody was blank. It just had never taken off before. So like we start working with at that time, general manager, and we couldn't get things fixed, and we're dealing with the company. And finally we get a new general manager who does start getting things fixed for us. And we're still not perfect up there, but we've come a whole freaking long ways. But remember, when you see Canada blowing up and you're not a part of the situation, you think, oh my God, Reese got so lucky. He's got all this group up there. No, if Reese had not been preparing the whole time and then working his butt off 60 hours a week in his real job and another 30 hours a week doing this, it would have all fell apart. And Reese, I know Reese was doing a Zoom. Are you here, Reese?
Yeah, I'm here.
Do you want to add anything there about kind of what, like, and Joni entered your business in preparation, and then what you had to do for about 4 or 5 months to keep them all from quitting?
No, it was just, I mean, like you said, there wasn't a system. I'm a problem solver as it is, but I just, and so for me, I have to learn things. I have to get into it. I have to do things. So to that point, I mean, you were always saying you need this many Zooms, you need that, and it really wasn't happening yet that way. And so I'm preparing for it. Like I'm learning. I'm on your Zooms. I'm on other people's Zooms. I'm learning from the other leaders, and just getting prepared. So when it does happen, I have relationships built across. Building the relationship with corporate staff, building a relationship with you, building a relationship. And then we all come together and work on this together, and then just putting that. It pays off. It takes time, but it pays off. It's worth it. It's reinvesting back into your business. Kind of what we're saying. I mean, you have to reinvest that time back in there, and then just be ready and be trying and know that it's going to go wrong, and you just got to be ready for that. And you have to stay. For me, I don't have a lot of strengths, but one of my strengths is I can stay level. I can stay even keel. I can get emotional when I have to, but I'm normally even keel. So when we stop being able to, click on the place your order under a downline, they can't do that in Canada with skinny drops. You have to do a whole different thing and go into people's back office. They when they took away the unlimited boxes, and people's subscriptions didn't go through, and people were like Chris and Joni weren't qualified anymore, and we're sitting in Tahiti and don't know what to do, but it was just problem solving at that point, and having those relationships built, and then also having the relationship with Chris and Joni already built to the where like we're building with them, so that they know what's going on. They know that the best interest that Todd and Ashley and myself, we all, and my Ashley, we have their best interest, and we're working with them through it. So that most people probably with Chris and Joni, with Carol, with Risha, with Christy, they probably would have thrown up their hands. But that group, man, that's why I always say they're so resilient. But anyways.
So not only did we meet Christy through Chris and Joni, then we meet Mary, and then you see me standing there with Rhett, her husband, building the relationship with him. Deborah Vader, met her in Calgary. And then Christy hops on an airplane and flies to an event going on in Kelowna and invites Carmen. And remember, Carmen's put 500 new people in Christy's business since January. But Christy hopped on a plane without a promise that she would even show up, and just got there. So all that's going on. So I'm going to switch PowerPoints now and show you now how this actually works. So let's go here to All right, let's just use this one because I got this one built. So this will be a Carmen Christie slideshow. So just watch this and then ask yourself if you can do this in your business. So we start with Chris and Joni, and then it's not going to be in the order, but everywhere I go, I build the PowerPoints to match the people. So you can see this is now Chris and Carmen's business. Started with Reese and Ashley. So like, then this is Jana. Jana lives in Grand Prairie, about 8 hours north of where we met Carmen at. So Jana had a huge meeting there, which signed up her mom named Brenda. There's Damon. We spend time in Vancouver with Damon, the husband, and get to know him. And then Credwin is on one of Carmen's leg, her very best person. Credwin's making like $1,000 a week now, very part-time. And then Carmen led to Jill. And then, Jenny Cash. And then Jenny Cash led to Betty Ann and Shorty and a number of others. So there's Jana's mom there that's a big builder that just came to us from Organo Gold. And then Mary, and that whole leg is growing. So you got to get in depth. And then Bob Budd's on here. So I don't have all of Bob's people, but when I do a meeting the one meeting I did for Bob, there's like 5 of his guests there. I've got a whole PowerPoint now just for Bob and his before and after pictures. So you're building in depth all the time. So I'm going to show you now. I talked that through, but I'm just going to show you now really quickly one more time, and I'm going to finalize it with how to handle the emotions while you're doing this. So there's actually Bob's group right there that we built for him that night, or he built and sent to me, which even better. Okay, then we'll go over here to like, let's go to Val. Remember, this was another leg for Robin. So when we go to this meeting here in Panama City, remember Kim was the start of it. There's always going to be a few extra pictures thrown in. But you go down through here, and all of these people down through here are going to be either in this surrounding area or in Val's business. And we can tell a story about every single one. There's Jennifer, that's under Krista. There is Stephanie, the school teacher, all right here in this area. And you just start building through there. And then let's go over here to, let's see, Carmen Christie, Mandy. Let's use Jerry and Allison in Ripley, Mississippi. I have not been as effective with Jerry and Allison because of distance. But nonetheless, I personally sponsored Jerry and Allison a while back. We helped them eventually get Jerry's sister signed up, Cheryl. And finally, her skeptical husband, Keith, about maybe 5 or 6 months, got in. And it took a long time. It wasn't easy. Then Keith's sister, Liz, gets involved. Liz is one of the real go-getters now. I know Liz is here this morning. And Liz loses 100 pounds. And then Brittany is one of Jerry and Allison's very best people. She's up in Tennessee. We're always talking with her, working with her, getting to know all of Brittany's team. I have a whole PowerPoint built just for Brittany's team. There's Brittany's mom, Selena. There's Sarah's mom, who's, if you don't know where Sarah came from this leg. So I met initially her mom, Sandra. I watched Sandra lose 50 pounds, and then Sandra eventually introduced her to Sarah. And then now everybody knows Sarah, but that's how Sarah got here. She didn't just randomly show up out of a parachute in the sky. There's Tamika. Tamika's in Jackson, Tennessee. I've done several meetings with Tamika underneath Brittany, underneath Jerry and Allison. And we could just keep on going and going and going and going through every one of these, all kind of the same thing. So in another leg, the Kristen White leg, there's Ken. So every single leg you've got is doing this. Now, here's the last piece, and then we're going to talk how this turns to money. Let me get to Randy 200. There it is. Okay. All right. So this is very important. So what I've shown you, I wanted to illustrate, so it probably got boring to some of you. Now we're going to get like to the real meat and potatoes. So you've got your really strong legs growing. Even when your strong legs start optimizing weekly, meaning 13,334 points weekly, you better not take your eye off the ball. But here's what begins to shift. When you're building in new legs, you literally have to work with anybody and anyone that is breathing that will put you in front of anybody. And you have to constantly be recruiting yourself, whether that's recruiting strangers in public, whether that's doing the passive system online and being very proficient about it. But you've got to get yourself putting new blood into a new leg, and you got to get people that you sign up, because remember, they've got a hot Rolodex. Everybody knows 4 or 5 people that'll do something with them. And that's the hottest people ever. So you got to coach them up on how to set up a few Zooms, at least get them doing this. If they're scared to do that, get them doing the skinny drop post, and those people will reach out to them. Either way works. But remember, in the strong legs, what my brain begins to do, and it hurts people's feelings, but there's only so much time in a day. In the stronger legs, you get the opportunity as a leader to start working with the better and better and better and better people. Now, I personally never abandon anybody. Meaning if somebody in that leg, as long as the only people I abandon are the negative people. If somebody calls me and is negative more than 2 times and doesn't let me fix their problem, they just want to complain to me about it, they quit getting a hold of me. In the strong legs. In the weak legs, I got to deal with everybody's negativity until I can get to the positive people. So you got to go back and forth. You can't apply what you're doing in your strong legs to your weak legs. In the weak legs, you have to suck it up, is what I say. I tell myself that all the time. Suck it up, Buttercup. Go deal with it. But in the strong legs, I'm working more and more and more. So Randy is a new leg for me. And so we got his story. We then started recruiting. This is not the right one. So I've got a whole PowerPoint built for Randy. Randy is Pentecostal, and I'm going to unshare my. Sorry, give me 1 second. So Randy is Pentecostal, and on his PowerPoint is his whole team, which is a lot of Pentecostal people in dresses, long hair. It fits his people. I'm not running around showing the Chelsea Parker Talia slideshow with 30-year-old girls. I mean, that's not what they want. You have to adapt for that. But on the Randy team, like everybody there is not committed. So I literally go back and forth sometimes within the same 20 minutes dealing with a Bob Budd who just needs a really high level problem solved so he can move on and keep building. And then I go back over here to somebody that has never, they're scared to download boards. They're telling me why they can't post. They're telling me I'm dealing with all of their excuses. Like it never goes away if you're on the front lines. But so what you're doing, this is very important to understand. I'm gonna get really focused with you here. On your strong legs, you begin to develop the deep, meaningful relationship with your leaders. So let's use the Ken Bailey leg. Obviously, I have that relationship with Ken. I have that relationship with Susan Frank. I have that relationship with Susan Cameron. Now, but not of, I met Susan Cameron right when she joined. When I realized how good she was, I talked to her every day. Why? Because Susan Frank had just literally started back. She has 4 kids, 3 of them are barely in school. Like she is a very, very busy mama. She is not going to be able to fly around this country supporting that group. So when I realized Susan Carmen's recruiting power, although that leg for me at the time was already doing almost 200,000 a week before Susan Carmen entered it. Like I didn't need more volume there, but Susan Frank is on my 2nd generation and Susan Carmen's on my 3rd. So matching check solidifies it. But what I'm really looking for, I never want to work again. If you've ever lived on residual income, you can't go back, guys. I told Reese this when he was telling me that we were a pyramid and these things didn't work. And I said, if you stick with me, there's going to come a day you're going to realize you're the stupid one, not us. And he now realizes that. He's like, oh my God, I didn't realize how y'all really lived. So like once you get a taste of not having to work unless you want to, you can never go back into that arena where you have to get up and go fight for survival every day. You'll kill yourself to keep from going back there. So when Susan Carmen entered, then I start meeting Barbara, Shannon, who's here on with
Susan Cameron,
Billy in Utah, Letty, Steph. I'm gonna forget. Like now, I've got a matter of fact. I got the whole power. Go ahead and Susan, if you want to share a little bit of that, I'm gonna pull up a PowerPoint I just built for your Orlando group. Go ahead.
I can share anything, but all I want to share is dreams come true. That's what I want to share right now. I'm in a barn right now. And Ashley and Todd Rowland came to Lexington, North Carolina last year. Can I just share this real quick, Todd?
Please.
Came to North Carolina. Here I'm here with my little son, who I get to love and homeschool. We get with me all the time. And I put a vision on my vision board when a bunch of you girls, y'all are here today, came to North Carolina. And Ashley said, why do you want to do it? I said, because I want to be able to afford any medical treatment, any tutor, anything that my son needs. As many of you guys know, he was born with Lyme disease. and he had an autism diagnosis. He's the 1% that's considered regressed. So I didn't know how to dream, but I kept hearing 7 million. I'm like, is it 7 million businesses I'm supposed to start? 7 million people, $7 million? And Ashley just started laughing. She's like, girl, you're going to make way more than $7 million in this company. So on that vision board, I said, I want a retreat center. I want horses. I want somebody else to own the horses. I want to just be able to work with the horses. I want somebody else to feed the horses. So I landed on this beautiful farm. I mean, this is crazy, you guys. You can't make it up. With this beautiful, magical horse called Bernie that his mom said you can do anything you want to with them. Somebody else feeds the horses. They pay for the horses. We live on a $5 million farm today as our second house. And I mean, we're living the life of our dreams. So this is just beyond our wildest dreams, you guys. So what's Todd is telling us here, like, this is exactly how we build. This is exactly how we do it. So the guy that runs this farm, he has more energy than anybody I've ever met. He's the best hunter that I've ever known. And so anything he researches. So this morning I spent an hour talking to him about I love you, Susan Frank, how we are going to plug people into his business left, right. And I'm going to introduce them to Ken. I'm going to introduce them to Todd. This guy will come in and be a 7-figure earner in our company. Hands down, everybody that he knows is connected, is wealthy. So just remember, it doesn't matter. It's like Todd's stories. It doesn't matter who we know, but who we know and who they know. Like Barb that he just mentioned. She's came in and I think her paycheck this week will be $5,000. What was your question, Todd? I'm in Horsey High. So what was your question?
You're muted, Todd.
You're muted though.
I said, I'll just make a comment and then you can add anything you want to.
Okay.
One of Susan's, so as we end the day, the last 15 minutes, we're going to be talking about how to handle the personalities and how to handle your personal attitude as you do this, because it will be tested in the people business, because most people are going to have different personalities than you. If you can't manage them all, you will train wreck here. I watch it happen all the time. But besides the positive attitude and controlling what comes out of your mouth, the power of the tongue, so there's two things. Susan Carmen, by the way, is the fastest mover I've ever seen personally in network marketing. I mean, she outran leaders. Susan Cameron, thank you. She made $47,000 her 5th month in our company with 0 industry experience. None, no leaders to call, nothing. She just did it. She did it because she attached to who previously was the fastest mover I'd ever had in network marketing, Susan Frank, which attached her to Ken Bailey, which attached her to me. So the second we saw her potential, she had 3 people that knew exactly what they were doing surrounding her. If we don't think Susan Carmen would have just came in and done this. Like, she had her skill set. She had the pixie dust. She was a closer. She was a great inviter. She followed the system. She was coachable. But it was Susan Frank, Ken Bailey, and Todd Rowland training the drops in, breaking plateaus, helping people understand the pay plan. Like, it was a relentless. I mean, Ken or Susan Frank, or you want to add something there?
Yeah, Todd, it's Susan Cameron. We'll get that one right. We'll preach it to him. But guys, it goes back to everything you've been teaching today, Todd. It's so critical to get face-to-face and have meetings. It wasn't an accident that Susan Frank had an event at her house right after she restarted. That's where Susan Cameron got to meet Ashley and Todd and myself and so forth. So she figured out a way to get people face-to-face. Because guys, automation's great, Todd. But if you don't create a relationship like you're talking about, it'll go down as quick as it goes up. Funnels are wonderful. We use it in our system of growth with social media. But once you get people started, you got to get in front of them, get them to a Connect event, get them to PX, get them in your living room. The meetings are so critical, Todd, to build trust, to build loyalty. Because, I mean, think about it for a second. Most people in network marketing don't fail because they're not capable. They fail because they quit too soon. Well, how do we keep them from quitting too soon? Create relationships and trust. I mean, think about this. It takes 4 years to get a college degree, about 7 years to be an attorney, about 10 years to be a doctor. But 90% of the people quit here in their first 2 years. Doesn't make sense, does it? But they do that because there's no loyalty, there's no trust, because they've tried to do it just online. So everything Todd's talked about is going back to those face-to-face meetings and creating the relationships. It's critical, Todd.
Yeah, so you can see here on this presentation, and I don't even have, because I've actually got like 5 PowerPoints now built for Susan because she has so many groups going. So on this one, you've got Susan Frank, Susan Susan Cameron, and then we build the relationship with her husband. We watch him lose the weight. We watch him go from skeptical engaged. And then we got Emily now, and I know this because I'm the one driving it. Emily's in St. Louis, Missouri. I initially met her when we did a meeting in Kansas City for Debbie Justice. There is Emily's fiance, Matt, who I got to meet when I was in St. Louis. Some of these people are thrown in. And then this is Jill, her top leader in St. Louis. We did a meeting for her in St. Louis. This is Audrey. Audrey made about 35,000 with us her first 6 months. She's in Austin, Texas. I don't have the picture, but her boyfriend has now joined us down there. We did a Zoom with him. And we could just keep on going through all of these. Stephanie is now on Jill's team in St. Louis. See how you're building these relationships on in depth. This is in a leg that for Todd does almost 600,000. I do $1 million sales weekly in this leg. And I still have taprooted down in a lot of the areas to the very deepest part. But why? I don't ever want it to return. And it also, Susan Frank, again, is second generation. Susan Cameron is third generation. So you are getting paid too there. And then that led to Billy Hagee, who's here with us. Billy Hagee came through this organization through Ann Walsden. And then you've got, the whole team of the Arbonne ladies now from Oklahoma to South Florida, all from taprooting through there. And we're doing that on multiple legs. And then simultaneously,
Todd, I'll mention Barb and Randy Mackey, but Barb just signed up a lady, Todd. You may not even know this yet. She sold 150 boxes in 2 weeks.
I know. It's amazing.
So now then you got, like, when you sell 150 boxes in your mind, you're thinking exactly what I told the story about Robin. So Robin sold about 1,200 boxes and we've signed up 135 people for her. So at least 10%. And that was way back before we even knew what we were doing. But at least 10% of all drop customers should be brand partners. And then 10% of them will activate and go, if not on their own. They don't just do it. That's the moral of the story today. But if you go build the relationship. So here's what you're thinking as you're doing all of this. You're recruiting passively and directly to get any new leg going. So depending on where you are, that could still be leg 1 for you. It could be leg 1 and 2. Then let's just say leg 1 and 2 really take off. You've got really good leaders. You never stop talking to your leaders, ever. Only my really strong leaders do I ignore them. The Susan Franks, the Kim Grace, some of them are so good that I will sometimes ignore their calls. That way they become stronger. But the ones that aren't quite ready yet, they're going to be able to get a hold of me every single what they always got to have their safety net they can lean on until they get strong enough to survive without you. And most of the time that's years. Most are not going to show up like a Risha or a Bob Budd already through all those phases and understanding how to do this. But let's say you got leg 1 and 2. So on those 2 legs, you're working with the strong leadership constantly. But then sometimes in the same hour, you got to flip over because you're going to start building leg 3. And you got to work with somebody that you're trying to convince to go from customer, pay $29.95, buy 4 boxes or pre-sell 3 boxes, however they're going to do it. You just got to get them started. Then you got to get them convinced to start posting. You got to slow down and download boards on their phone. You got to show them how to work it. I was just doing that for 3 days in Las Vegas. Because it's actually all the way back to Walt, the guy bulldozing my land. I'm now in Las Vegas, 100 levels deep, brand new people, helping them download boards myself, showing them how to actually do the simple things way, way deep in a leg because there was no leader there besides me that day to do it. All right. But on the new legs, you've got to really, really, really be patient. And this is a piece of the puzzle that cuts off the $25,000 or $30,000 earners from the ones that go on to $100,000 a month or more. Because at any one of these stages, it's very easy to get comfortable. It's very easy to get comfortable talking to your 3 or 4 new good relationships of leaders. You're not taking the time and the energy to build the new ones. That's the number one reason most businesses never go big. Number 2, once you do get 2 or 3 legs really exploding and you're working with those leaders, well, that's easy. Who can't? when I'm working with a Susan Cameron, I mean, it's almost like vacation because I don't have to do anything except show up with a little bit of knowledge she doesn't have, whether that be on drops or pay plan or whatever, but she's doing all the hard work. Her and her team are filling the rooms up. They're the ones inviting. They're doing all the day-to-day stuff. So like working with a Ken Bailey, Susan Frank, Susan Cameron, like who wouldn't want to do that once they got going? But at the same time, I'm leaving them and I'm going right back in, and Brian's with us here, Brian in Memphis, and Brian in Memphis is still trying to, get going. And like his questions and his issues are not even in the same realm. So a lot of people cannot do that. They get so comfortable working with the easy ones, they're not willing to work with the hard ones anymore. You don't work with the hard ones in your big legs, though. That's not your job anymore. The negative ones can go find something else to do. You don't have to make time for them anymore. But on your new legs, you do. And here's why. Because this company sets aside 3% of global revenue weekly. And every leg you get to optimize, meaning you make your 2,000 a week, gets you shares in this global pool. Now remember, these numbers you're about to see are not stagnant. Like you're tracking 3% of global revenues. I remember when some of these bonuses were like $250, they've already doubled from 250 to right at 500. So here's how the bonus system works. The first two legs are in what's called an income position. And when you optimize both of those legs, you're going to get 2,000 plus a $500 bonus range and growing. So it's 2,500 a week plus savings account plus matching check plus new volume bonus. But 2,500 a week minimum, so you're at 150,000 a year just in these two areas of pay. Matching check one day may double or triple or quadruple that. But then the third leg begins what we call your pay lines. And if anybody ever asks Todd how to build, I will always say, go wide, go wide, go wide. Ignore all the other noise. It'll just screw you up long term. Go wide. So on that third leg, we're starting over with brand new people. We're dealing with all the basics again, because when we get that third leg optimized, that's another 2,000. It's your first pay leg. So the bonus money has the same amount of shares, again, just two. And those two shares are worth $250 a piece, or right at $500 in the current growth we're in. Could be 10 times that one day. Who knows? All right. Then the fourth leg is another 2,000. But then now we begin to get the exponential factor on the shares. So the bonus money is not 500. The bonus money for that third leg, or pay line 2 is indicated on the slide, is 1,500. So if you go back and do the math, that second leg is 2,000 plus 500. That third leg is 2,000 plus 500. And that fourth leg is 2,000 plus 1,500. Now, at that point, if you've built that out weekly, you have a lot of comfortable relationships. You have more than enough money probably for survival. But what do you want in life? Do you want to become financial independent? Do you want to help your kids? Do you want to become completely debt free? Where are your dreams? Because the way this compensation plan is built is you basically get paid twice to 3 times and eventually 10 times the money just to go do it again. And by the time you build 2 or 3 or 4 legs, you've actually gotten fairly good at it. So I never want to lose a leader, and I'm always so appreciative beyond measure. It's God's favor. I'm always so thankful, but I'm also never dependent, because I've got a skill set. I can go sign up another guy bulldozing my land next week and start mining through that and build another leg. So you've got to be both. You can't ever be at the mercy of somebody. Always be thankful for them, but never at the mercy. So you're going to build more legs with the skill set you're developing and learning. And eventually, if you wanted to build 8 legs, pay legs, that would be 10 total, because the first 2, remember, is an income position. It'd be 8 times 2,000 plus an $18,000 bonus for the week. So you're in several $1 million annual income when you do that. Can you do that in a year? No. Can you do it in 2 years? No. I don't even think a leader can. However, over a 5, 7, 10-year plan, I was actually doing a meeting in Orlando for Val. And one of the ladies I was doing the meeting for, her daughter was there. She just graduated after 8 years from Wake Forest in North Carolina. She got her undergrad, she got her medical degree. Now she's going to Vanderbilt for another 4 years for residency and training to be an anesthesiologist. So this girl is going to be 12 years in before she gets her job. We just alluded to that. So to get here into this $2, $3, $4 million income, it's not going to be done in 3, 4, 5 years. It's going to be 5 to 7, and you've got to have the right company, and you've got to develop the right skill set. You've got to be prepared, because you will miss if anybody has a growing business, you've had great people. And if they're not working, it's not their fault. You didn't go build the relationship and give them the tools they needed. You got to be mining there at the bottom. And as we end this, the last 2 or 3 minutes minus, will I answer any questions anybody's got and share my screen. So here's the last showstopper. There are going to be so many varying personalities in this build out. I mean, you're going to have nice people, mean people, Christians, non-Christians, Democrats, Republicans, like every walk of life is going to enter your business. And in this business, when we're out there, I always tell people, stand for what you stand for. People listen a lot more how you carry yourself than what you say anyway. Carry yourself the way you want to carry yourself. However, you're going to have to manage that, because I always give Gracie kudos. Gracie and Benny, they're Pentecostal pastors. Gracie's dad was a pastor. Like they are like Benny and Gracie are everybody's example of how to walk the straight and narrow. Benny has never had a sip of alcohol in his entire life. Not one. So, but yet they can come to our convention and not be judgmental or standoffish against people that maybe are not following that. Not that they don't like, not that they condone it, not that they accept it, not that they even necessarily want to be around it, but they've learned how to deal with that and maybe be a witness to somebody the way they're acting, not just being judgmental of them and accuse them of something. So like all of those things are running all the time. And women, I say it all the time, and you prove me wrong. Women are 80% of our industry and less than 10% of our top earners, because this journey is harder for women. There's so many emotional things to manage. The best of the best. And here's what women say. Well, you don't understand. This is different. I've heard that a million times through my lifetime. And the really hard ones is type A women managing type A women. Strong women and strong women really clash. So like, if you want to get wealthy here, you better be able to be submissive when that strong woman enters your presence. Because if you're not, you will run them off. I've witnessed it. I have watched people cost themselves so freaking much money because they want to be right. I always say, like, I'd rather be rich than right in the situation I'm talking about right now. Like you got to cower down. You can't always be the alpha dog. Like when I'm around Bob Budd, Bob and I are very similar. If I don't back off, I'll offend Bob. But Bob is who I'm searching for. I don't have enough time in the day. I've got to, so like I have to, and that's the last piece of the puzzle. I have to learn how to manage myself when those types of personalities come in. I can't be me because I'm really strong in a room. And I have to learn when that other big personalities in that room, I have to get out of their way if they're producing. Now, if they're not producing, I get all in their way because I don't want somebody with a strong personality leading somebody down the wrong street. All right, last piece. And then ask any questions or add anything that anybody wants to, because there are a lot of you that know how to do this. What comes out of your mouth is your future. You've got to manage that. You've got to speak life over yourself and over your team 24/7. Like nobody's perfect. You have to self-check that. What are you saying under your breath when you're by yourself? What are you saying out loud to your spouse or to somebody else about the situations you've dealt with that day? Like speak life only. Train your brain to manage the negativity and speak life. Because if you say it enough, either direction, it's going to happen. The Bible started that way. God is the Word. The Word is He spoke the Word. That's how we got the Bible. He spoke it into existence. Like and God made man in His image. You have no idea how much power you have over your own future with your thought patterns. Like be focused on the good stuff in life. We all have the bad stuff. Like if you only knew what I heard in a day. Everybody thinks their life is only one that's busy with chaos and issues. No, everybody's got death, sickness, kids, sporting events, issues, arguments, moving pieces, unexpected situations. Things happen to everybody all day, every day. Now, are there certain circumstances in a home-based business you can step away and handle? Yes. This is not a call today about making $10,000 a month or extra income. This is a call today about creating wealth. If you're going to create wealth at anything, there's going to be a period of time in your life you're going to be out of balance. Just hear that for what it is. I'm not telling you to get out of balance. I'm telling you to do something big. You cannot go study it. I've read every book out there. There is a momentary of time where an energy force has to go into something if you want to get to that $1 million plus year income. It has nothing to do with network marketing. Go study every business owner. There was a period of time. Now, I don't say get things out of order, God, family, business, but things will be out of balance. Like you can't go at an extreme level at all three things simultaneously. Not that they get out of importance, out of order of importance, but they do get out of order at periods of times of balance. Never got to do that. I am not telling you to do that. I'm just saying nobody's making $1 million a year in network marketing that hasn't done that for a period of time. I don't think anybody's making $1 million a year in any business that hasn't done that for a period of time. Jerry, you started a telephone company from scratch in Mississippi. Were you a little out of balance when you started that company trying to get it off the ground after you borrowed a couple $1 million and had a bunch of investors involved?
Had a bunch of investors, stayed upside down for a long time. 4.8 million to be exact, but yeah.
So were you able to not show up every time there was something the family needed? You had to show up.
I had to show up. I was tied to everything.
And I've heard you say that you took showers with your phone in the shower.
I had to, right? You got somebody that calls you 5 a.m. in the morning, their phone lines, 100 phone lines not working. You got to jump and go. It's a nightmare.
So the difference in this business and Jerry's telephone company is he had $4.8 million with his name on it. He had no choice but be disciplined. Here, it's up to us. We either do it or we don't.
Hey,
So
Todd,
that-
I have something to add to that with Jerry. A lot of women here want to help their husband with financial freedom, take some of the pressure off. What this business was allowed to, when I was able to build this business, it allowed us to be able to convert all of our 1099 employees, 1099 people to W-2s. And we were able to hire somebody who now answers Kevin's phone. So he's not glued to that phone because that was his life for 17 years of our marriage. So when you guys want to do that for your husbands, a lot of you women want to give them, take some pressure off. Like you have the ability to do that here.
Susan Cameron is one of the best I've ever met at being like this super highly disciplined, highly motivated, consistent, everyday worker, but yet still enjoying life along the way. I mean, you see her, she's on the call, but she's also at the horse farm. Like she somehow figured out how to, she may talk to 29 people for the day, but she still spent a couple hours that day homeschooling her child. Susan Frank, maybe you could talk for just a second because you are a $1 million annual earner. Maybe just talk for 1 second about how you manage your 4 children, 16 and younger, and still build an empire around the world.
I do everything from my phone. My phone's always with me. So if I'm at the ball field, even if I'm at Puerto Rico with my team, like we got Susan's business kickstarted in Puerto Rico. Most people would say, "Oh, I'm at Puerto Rico," but she was getting me appointments. So I hustled. If people will get you appointments, like you can do this business from anywhere. So just work it into your life. That's the beautiful thing about it. And it's fun. It's so much fun to help people.
Ken, you want to add anything, or Bob, or
Todd, it's
Chris
really
and Joni?
price.
Any of you got big earners?
Todd, if you are willing to sacrifice for whatever time it takes, then the time freedom that you can achieve becomes priceless. So that when things do, like Susan's got her father-in-law is really sick. Susan can spend as much time as she needs to at the hospital without having to ask. We were talking about this yesterday. She don't have to ask her boss, can she be off or reschedule something? She still gets paid very well every Friday, but you couldn't do that as a nurse. Guys, this business, if you're willing to do what Todd's sharing here, it will give you that life, your children, your grandchildren, that life that they can only dream of. That could never happen any other way except through a business like this.
So Ken, I watched you sacrifice for years, and you're now slowing down. You still work hard, don't get me wrong. Like Ken's a problem solver extraordinaire, but as far as being on the road and stuff, you've been able to pull back a lot from that. But what's it like to work really hard for a period of time and now be drawing $15,000 a week for waking up?
Todd, I just have to pinch myself every day and just thank the good Lord that I was willing to sacrifice the time to get here. And now, my step, I got an illness going on in my family as well, but I can spend as much time as I need to with him, Todd. Whereas otherwise, if I'm working a job in corporate America, they quit paying you after you're off for so long, right? So, Todd, I'm living the life of my dreams because of this business, this industry, and the support system with you and Ashley and just the management team that we have, folks. I just urge people, don't miss what you got a chance here to create for you and your family. It does take some sacrifice, Todd, for years in most cases. But goodness, you're talking about the girl who's in her 10th year. Todd, not only is she in her 10th year and hasn't even created her job yet, when she does, she's probably on call 6 or 7 days a week. Really doesn't have a life, no time freedom after she spent 10 years of education. I'm not saying education is bad, guys, but I'm just saying if you compare it, because people ask me all the time, and I'll try to shut up, is this business hard? Yeah, unless you compare it to anything else. Hard is working 40 years for somebody else, them controlling your schedule, them deciding how much money you make, and then retiring on half a broke. How about working hard for 10 years, 5, 10? I don't care if it took me 20 years, Todd. Looking back, I would have worked 10 times harder just to have the financial freedom that I've been blessed to have today. Take advantage of what you're blessed to know about.
And the buds, do y'all want to add anything before we close out? Any of the buds?
Nope. Great call. Thank you.
It was awesome. YouTube, and we're probably going to do this like every other week. I have to really have time to prepare for this to make sure we don't waste anybody's time on this hour. So probably look at seeing each other again 2 weeks from today. But I've got about 12 different segments we're going to do, and then we're going to do something together with Brent. We're going to do a much bigger call, and we're both going to talk maybe like a 2-hour training on it and bring in some other leaders with like a structured deal. And then we're all going to meet in person together too, when we get to Dallas, kind of separately, like they did in Destin. And then you guys are going to replicate this into your teams with your touch. And I will just tell you, momentum doesn't come very often. I've only seen it twice in 24 years. It's, we're in a sweet, sweet moment here. And, I tell people this a lot. I don't know how long it'll last. Take advantage of it, because if you can get your business into momentum over the next 3, 4, 5 years, you'll be paid the rest of your life. It'll never stop. It'll never stop. You don't know what you don't know if you've never had this thing take off from underneath you. Do what it takes, one at a time, until you finally hit that person that you can invest into and get this thing running. Everybody have a super, super great rest of the day.